Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Kent. We are a covenantal spiritual community that seeks to be diverse and inclusive as we inspire love, work for justice, and grow together in community. I am the Reverend Renee Rahutsky, one of our affiliated community ministers of this congregation, co-leading the service with Carolyn Schlemmer, who is back in the pulpit after being a worship associate over a decade ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long. Our minister, the Reverend Christina Church, and our Director of Religious Education, Colleen Taylor, are both enjoying some well-deserved study leave. We extend a special welcome to our visitors. Thank you for worshiping with us this morning. For our visitors on Zoom, if you'd like to know more about our church and be in contact with us, there'll be a contact link in the chat box at the end of the service. For visitors here this morning, we have green visitor cards available. You're welcome to fill out a card and drop it in the offering basket later in the service. If you're here in person this morning and have a joy or sorrow to be shared during the service, please fill out a yellow card and give it to an usher. That'll be during the first hymn. They'll come by holding one up. Or you can bring it up to me yourself. If you're on Zoom, there'll be an opportunity to share your joy or sorrow using the chat box. Also, I wanted to remind everyone that this Friday there is a kirtan gathering with Brad Bolton and Margot Milsatich right here in Hobbs Hall at 7 p.m. If you've grabbed an order of service, there's information on the back and there's information on our website. I want to express my thanks to everyone involved in leading worship this morning. Our Director of Music Ministries, Emily Hall, our accompanist, Vanessa Vesley, and we have lots of special musical guests actually, but Carol Gould is here on viola, which is a real treat. We also have Katie Greg Miller and Greta Ramsey. And David, yes, thank you. I didn't have all the names up here, so I had to wing it. We also thank our greeters and tech team and all of the other staff and volunteers that made the order of service and slides and all that stuff. It takes a lot of people to make Sunday morning happen. So let's welcome our virtual folks on Zoom with a wave and a hello. There's a camera over there, so give them a shout out. We're so glad that you're here worshiping with us this morning as well. Now, let's take a moment on this warm summer morning, but not so warm, isn't that glorious? And to explore together what it means to receive generously.
Good morning. I'm not sure how many years I've been a member here because I came regularly for 2 or 3 or maybe 4 years before I actually joined. But however long it's been, people in this congregation have been really kind to me. You yourself may have done something nice, introduced me to a new friend, taught me a new skill, brought food when I was rehabbing from a shoulder surgery, or invited me to your home. You might even have quietly let me know that there was broccoli between my teeth. Or listened to me when I needed a friend. Or maybe you've given me a thoughtful gift, herbs for my front yard, a book you know I'd enjoy, a mug chosen for me, a ticket to a service auction event, a handmade gift, or a pair of nice jeans that don't fit you but perfectly fit me, and you know me well enough to know that. But you probably never received a written thank you. I thank people in the moment, intensely, encouragingly, authentically, from my heart. But writing a note, I might even have emailed a thanks to you, but I've always had a thing about handwritten thank you notes. It's not my mother's fault. She tried to teach my sisters and me that thank you notes are a responsibility. They're a part of the social oil that keeps us functioning smoothly as a community. They build connection. Her lessons worked with my younger sisters, all of whom have been happy and responsible thank you note writers. These days, I can blame the arthritis in my fingers for making handwriting difficult, but a deeper reason is my wanting my thank you notes to be perfect. And when I've put off writing them and then they're late, they should be even more perfect. But if you live long enough, life can teach you humility. Ready for a chalice lighting? Would you please join me in saying the words that go along with our chalice lighting? Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn is number 370 in the gray hymnal, All People That on Earth Do Dwell. If you're of an old Protestant background, you may know it as Old 100th. Very familiar tune.
And if you're someone who comes regularly to our all ages first service when we have those, you might get confused because this has a lot of different words than we usually do for the doxology in our service. So just buckle up. Here we go. Rise and body or spirit and join us in singing.
I'd like to invite the children and the young at heart to come forward for the time for all ages. Come on. Huh? Nope, not gonna, okay. Yay, thank you, Benny and Katie. Once upon a time, there was a third grade class where the kids argued about everything. They argued about who should stand in the front of the line. They argued about what games to play during recess. And they argued about who was the best reader in the class. The teacher was at his wit's end. The kids even argued during the lessons over silly stuff, and no one was learning anything. The teacher tried everything. He promised the class an ice cream party if they could get through just one day without an argument. It didn't work. He threatened to send anybody who was arguing to the principal's office. That didn't work either. It just annoyed the principal. He called the parents. He tried very politely to ask the kids to stop. He kept the class in at recess. Nothing worked. The teacher was at his breaking point. So what would you do if you were the teacher? It's tough. Hard to have a good idea, right? Well, the teacher went to his synagogue that Sabbath and prayed. His rabbi noticed his look of despair and went to sit by him and asked, "What's wrong?" The rabbi listened to the teacher's tale of the most difficult, argumentative third grade class in history. When she heard it all, she simply said, "Stay home from work on Monday and leave it to me." That Monday, the kids walked into their classroom and found the rabbi sitting at the teacher's desk. Of course, they began to argue about what happened to the teacher. The rabbi sat and listened. She didn't yell or try to interrupt. She didn't plead. She didn't scold. She simply sat quietly at the teacher's desk. And after a while, the kids began to wonder what was going on. The arguments gradually died down as the kids watched the rabbi to see what would happen next. When the classroom was finally quiet, the rabbi slowly stood up. "Your teacher will not be here today. I am your substitute teacher, but I have only one thing to teach you. Listen carefully, for I will not repeat it." The kids were too surprised to argue. The rabbi's voice rang out in the stunned silence. "Last night in my dreams, God told me, there is a Messiah among you." What do you think happened next? They argued, of course, about why so-and-so could not be the Messiah because of some fault or failing. The arguing did not stop overnight. When the teacher returned to school on Tuesday morning, the kids were still arguing. But they were starting to point out good deeds they saw in this person and that person, which meant they were the Messiah. But soon the arguments began to disappear. When someone started arguing over who gets to be first in line, they realized the other child might be the Messiah, so they just lined up quietly instead. And on the playground, the kids took turns on the slide and swings. After all, one of them might be the Messiah. All that year, the kids kept trying to figure out who might be the Messiah. They began to think about one another differently. They noticed all of the good things about each other. The kids also began to think about themselves differently. Each child wondered, could I be the Messiah? The children were inspired to be the best people they could be. Soon, the kids in this third grade class had a new reputation for treating one another remarkably well. The next fall, the teacher looked at his brand new class of third graders. Already, arguments were brewing among the students. "Good morning, children," he began. "Has anyone here ever heard of a Messiah?" He lowered his voice to a whisper, so everyone had to be quiet to listen. And he said, "I have been told there is a Messiah in this class." We will now sing the children to their classes. We'll sing through once together, and then on the second verse, you all can leave with your teachers.
Got the light of love inside you. Go on your way in peace. Shine that light. The world now waits you. Go on your way in peace. You've got the light of love inside you. Go on your way in peace. So shine that light. The whole world now awaits you. Go on your way in peace. You know we hold you. We hold you. Yes, we hold you.
Each week, we set aside time to reflect upon the personal moments of our lives. But first, we'll take a moment of silence together. Amen. We first acknowledge those among us who have sorrows, struggles, and losses. Alyssa shares something that's a sorrow, a milestone, and a joy, that she asks us to save August 9th, the date of August 9th, for a potential memorial service for Raven. It's also going to be Raven's birthday celebration, so it's going to be one of these joy and sorrow and woven fine events. So thank you, Alyssa. We'll be sure to get that on the church calendar as well. And let's see. From Martha Cluth, which is probably John, asks us to have supportive thoughts for Martha, who is in the hospital recovering from a stroke. John, we will hold Martha in our thoughts. They both are longtime members of this congregation, and we miss having them here, but our hearts are with you as she recovers. We also have those among us who have joys and celebrations. The Workman Havancic family share that Katie will be celebrating her 10th birthday on Wednesday this week. We are excited for Katie. And not seeing any joys on Zoom, I will invite you all into the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life in love, we in this community are grateful for that all-encompassing love that reminds us that we are here for one another. We are here to listen to one another's stories. We're here to share celebrations and commemorations. We are grateful for the small things as well as the large things. The few blooms that we might share with a friend, a meeting of coffee over coffee or tea, a walk in the woods, a phone call. All of these little graces that we share as a community to know that we are here for one another. Let us continue to be those people, the people who show up for one another in the spirit of love. Amen.
My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of my soul. My heart is open wide to the song of my soul. My heart is open wide to the pain of the earth. My heart is open wide to the pain of the earth. My heart is open wide to the pain of you. My heart is open wide to the pain of you. My heart is open wide to the pain of my soul. My heart is open wide to the pain of my soul. My heart is open wide to the love of the earth. My heart is open wide. My
Our reading is from Malidoma Patrice Somé. Whether they are raised in indigenous or modern culture, there are two things that people crave: the full realization of their innate gifts, and to have these gifts approved, acknowledged, and confirmed. There are countless people in the West whose efforts are sadly wasted because they have no means of expressing their unique genius. In the psyches of such people, there is an inner power and authority that fails to shine because the world around them is blind to it.
Quality time with friends is wonderful. And if you live long enough, or if you get smart early, one of life's lessons is humility. Trying to look perfect makes it very hard to connect with other people. As Somé says, we humans crave connection, being seen, being known for whom we are. When I was a teenager, one of the posters in my bedroom said, "I am lovable and capable." Oh, how I wanted to believe that. But I didn't believe it. So I built an outer shell to project lovableness and capability. It took me years and a lot of work to understand that people who saw the shell didn't really know me. I missed out on connections in so many ways. One of my favorite writers is Brené Brown. Do any of you know who that is? Yeah. She's a writer, speaker, sociology professor from Texas. She's funny, authentic, real. Her first TED Talk is one of the most viewed in history, and I strongly recommend that you try to see it. Her work showed me the words for my journey. For connection to happen, we must be seen by others. Shame is what isolates us. She distinguishes between guilt and shame. Guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. Shame leads people to construct that shell, that surface that hides the shame of imperfection in order to avoid vulnerability. No matter how perfect the shell, instead of leading to connection, it prevents connection. She writes, "Is there something about me that if people know it, it will make them think I am not worthy of connection?" To put simply, shame is the fear of disconnection. Connection is why we humans are here. Through connection with others, we develop purpose and meaning in our lives. And for connection to happen, we must be seen by others. A person who feels shame believes they're not good enough. A person with a strong sense of love and belonging believes they're worthy of it. And people who feel worthy, possess worthiness, have the courage to be imperfect, starting with self-compassion. They're willing to let go of who they think they are, think they should be, in order to be who they truly are. Having the courage to deal with shame, first within oneself and then with others, is what removes the shell. So the choice to show imperfection and vulnerability becomes not a weakness but a strength. It allows us to be fully ourselves, to be fully present. Her research asks the question, what leads people to lead wholehearted, authentic, resilient lives? And the answer is a willingness to be vulnerable and to be fully ourselves, fully present. What is it that leads people to lead those lives? The answer is a willingness to be vulnerable. Brown says after her famous first talk, she was invited to come speak to a number of businesses and universities. Many of them said, "Yes, please come, we really want you, but don't talk about shame or vulnerability." And that line, that was in her second talk, that line got a laugh from the audience too. She said, "Do you know what I do?" When I first came here, I had a few things to learn. One is that you don't need to pledge allegiance to anything to belong here. You don't even have to stand up. You stand as you are willing and able. And if you don't feel like it, you don't have to. You can knit or crochet, and nobody will give you the side eye. Whether you're atheist, Baptist, Buddhist, Jew, Methodist, or Muslim, we hope you will feel welcome here. We have no doctrine, no rigid dogma, no statement of faith, but we have a tough list of aspirational goals. We want to respect and value each person, to commit to helping each other grow spiritually, and to promote for individuals and for our community a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And that touches only 3 of our 8 goals. Clearly, we don't always succeed. We have grown out of a Protestant tradition, and people familiar with that tradition could be more comfortable at first with us, but it's a living tradition. That means sometimes it requires change and growth. This is a good place to be an imperfect person, because we know that you use, imperfectly live up to the goals we aspire to. But we do keep trying, and we try to leave plenty of space for people to differ. The psychologist and theologian Henry Nouwen agrees the task of the spiritual life is not to become someone you are not, but to be who you already are. Listening is much more than allowing another to talk while waiting for a chance to respond. Listening is paying full attention to others and welcoming them into our very beings. The beauty of listening is that those who are listened to start feeling accepted, start taking our words more seriously, and discovering their true selves. Let's listen to each other and enjoy connection. Please rise as you are willing and able for our reflection hymn, number 34 in the gray hymnal, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
I was at a cell phone store with my 20-something daughter a few years ago. The salesperson was providing some sorely needed tech support. Luckily, they were able to solve my daughter's phone problem. As we paid our bill and said our goodbyes, my daughter exclaimed, "I appreciate you." That phrase really stuck with me. I appreciate you. 3 simple words, but they held a kind of mesmerizing power that a simple thank you didn't seem to convey. I think those 3 words broke through the implicit power differential that our service economy creates between customer and staff, the diner and the help, between how can I serve you and I want to talk to the manager. The practice of tipping waitstaff has bothered me for this same reason. It was a way for the system to reinforce subservience among certain classes of people who fill specific roles: housekeepers, waitstaff, personal care professionals. Why don't we tip auto mechanics and plumbers? My daughter's saying, "I appreciate you," seemed to acknowledge the other person's humanity, not just the value of the service they were providing. I've been thinking about acts of service in my new role as Connections Coordinator. The role was originally called Volunteer Coordinator, but in a faith community like this one, we don't so much volunteer as we give gifts of time to one another. I wonder what might change in our relationships if we perceive acts of service as gifts given out of love of community. Might we have more patience? Might we be slower with advice or critique? Might we share the work more often? My friend and colleague, the Reverend Erica Barron of the New England region of the UUA, talks a lot about gifts in her work and the essential role that they play in congregational life. She has shared this recording so that you can hear how in her own words.
As Malidoma Some says, one of the things we long for is to have our gifts acknowledged, confirmed, and approved. Part of the practice of centering in gifts as a community is to notice each other's gifts and then acknowledge them, to help each other feel deeply seen as people with something to offer, people who embody our own unique version of spiritual leadership. In the first few months of my time on the New England regional staff, I went with my colleague Joe Sullivan to a leadership retreat at one of our congregations. Joe led the board members, committee on ministry members, and the minister in an exercise of noticing each other's gifts. We ran around the circle, and for each person, Joe invited others in the room to speak about that person's gifts. And they did. They mentioned things like a sense of humor, the insight to find and ask the key question, a willingness to speak a minority opinion with courage and without bitterness. Each person who spoke about a gift did it so with deep appreciation. I could feel the joy and gratitude in the room, and when we were done, there was a lightness and closeness in the group that hadn't been there before. This is one way of practicing centering in gifts in a congregation. But it was one exercise and one day of a retreat. I've done this exercise a bunch of times since I learned it from Joe, and almost always there is the same joy, excitement, lightness, and closeness. And often this exercise takes far longer than I have planned. I think this is because, as Malidoma Some says, this is something we crave. Not only to have our own gifts seen and confirmed, but also to see and confirm the gifts of others. In fact, I've noticed that people tend to get at least as much joy from telling someone else about their gifts as from having their own gifts confirmed. It feels really good to appreciate each other in this way, and it's such a rare thing. So when we get the opportunity, we want to revel in it. As Unitarian Universalists, one of our principles is to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The practice of noticing and naming each other's gifts is one way to practice this principle. This is one of the ways of noticing the full humanity of others and of promoting everyone's ability to claim and live into their worth and dignity. Right now, I invite you to think of someone who has a gift that has been important to you. What have you seen someone doing with joy and love? What has someone offered to you that has been moving or helpful or supportive or inspiring? Take a moment to say thank you in your heart for this gift. And if you have never told this person the gift you have received from them and what it has meant to you, I invite you to consider doing that. This idea might seem totally awkward. It is strange to me how rarely we tell each other what we appreciate about each other, what we mean to each other. Maybe this is just a New England thing, maybe not. But in New England, it is rare, and so it is awkward. It's something that many of us lack practice in, but if you do it anyway, it is usually appreciated. It is usually a way of spreading some joy. I invite you to imagine ways this could become a more regular part of your life as a congregation. Maybe you want to try the exercise of naming gifts on a committee you're on or in a small group you belong to. If doing it all at once feels overwhelming, maybe you can take turns, lifting up the gifts of one person at each meeting until you've celebrated everyone. Maybe you want to lean into this even more. Maybe those of you who have the gift for taking the congregational lead could make it a point to start telling people the gifts you notice them bringing. If you did that enough, maybe it would be less awkward for others to follow your lead. I called this sermon Receiving Generously because we usually think about giving generously. I know many of you give very generously of your gifts and your skills and your other resources to your congregations. That is also an important spiritual practice. But we think less often about what it means to receive generously. A gift has meaning when it is received and appreciated. That's as true for the gifts of our being as for more concrete gifts. Since we crave having our gifts seen, acknowledged, confirmed, it is an act of generosity to each other to receive each other's gifts. Part of that is noticing each other's gifts and speaking them aloud, as we have been discussing. But there's another layer to the practice of centering in gifts. Malidoma Some says that there are countless people in the West whose efforts are sadly wasted because they have no means of expressing their unique genius. Some of us are lucky enough to have ways to offer our gifts in other aspects of our lives beyond the congregation, in our families, or jobs, or other groups we belong to. Some of us don't. Some of us don't have any other way to offer our gifts at all, and some of us only a little bit, or only occasionally. So as a community, part of receiving each other generously means offering each person a way to express their unique genius. Sometimes this requires creating new avenues to offer gifts in the community that haven't existed yet. This is how we help each other grow in spiritual leadership, by giving the power in each of us a way to shine. Maybe you want to offer a way for people to request a conversation about their gifts. That might look like a group that would meet a few times to lift up the gifts they see in that person. They could then help the person think about where they are already expressing those gifts in the world and where they might want to do that more. If there are important gifts that have no expression right now, this could be a way to figure out how the congregation can provide a way to express those gifts. You are a genius. Right now, without having to do anything, you are already carrying gifts for your community and for the world. Turn your attention inside. Can you notice your own gifts? Now turn your attention to others who are with you, either in the same room with you or with you online or with you across space and time in your heart. Every other person is also a genius. They are all carrying precious gifts for community and for the world. Can you notice the gifts of another person you're connected to? If not right now, can you prepare to be on the lookout? Can you make it a practice to seek the gifts in others? You are all geniuses, and together you can create community that notices gifts and celebrates them and gives them ways to be expressed. I invite you to give it a try.
Ushers, please come forward. You might have picked up that the three reflections shared by Carolyn, Reverend Erica, and myself are 3 of the 5 love languages popularized by Gary Chapman in his book of the same name. A 5th gift, or a 5th love language, is receiving gifts. Our offering is a ritual where the congregation practices receiving gifts from its members and friends. Many give monthly or online, and we have a text-to-give option as well. If you're a visitor, please know that your presence is its own gift. We have a small gift, a bookmark that's in the basket, and we invite you to take one as you pass the basket. We also have an opportunity to donate to our July special offering recipient, the Anti-Defamation League of Cleveland. Be sure to mark that donation as special collection on the envelope or when you give online. Thank you for all that you give this day and every day.
May I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the 1,000 reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. A secret world, like a treasure chest to you, of private scenes and brilliant dreams that mesmerize. A tender lover's smile, a tiny baby's hands, the million stars that fill the turning sky at night. Oh, I suggest to you, oh, I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a hope that's been expressed in you, the hope of 7 generations, maybe more. This is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. suggest this is the best part of your life. This is a song, comes from the west to you, comes from the west, comes from the slowly setting sun. This is a song with a request of you to see how very short the endless days will run. And when they're gone, and when the dark descends, oh, we'd give anything for one more hour of light. And I suggest this is the best part of your life.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Our closing hymn is 128, For All That Is Our Life.
To rise and body your spirit and sing with us.
For all that is our life, we sing our praise and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful lust and wrath, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad.
Our benediction today is the words of James Baldwin. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Go in peace.
Thank you.